realise this because this is a Cistercian Abbey, up there, and the Cistercian Abbey had two groups of monks. One of them were proper monks. In other words, they could read and they could write and they understood Latin and they probably spoke to each other in Latin. And if they travelled round, like English and American today is a universal language, Latin was the universal language of the medieval world, and so these people, they could read, they could write, and they could speak Latin. They were literate, so they were important in terms of the law, they were important in terms of education, but they were also important in terms spiritually. And I think you've got to appreciate that in the Middle Ages, the spiritual side of life was much more important than it is today. We don't think about it much. We're too busy making our living and getting lots of things. But on the spiritual side, in the Middle Ages, they died young, and so their eyes were focused on what happened after they died. If you see your little brother or your little sister die, then you think, no, where's he gone? Where's she gone? And so the spiritual side of life was important, and the monks had the key to the afterlife, if you like. They could explain it to people, and that's why the church was so important in the Middle Ages. And then you've got another group of people here. Now, whereas these people, they mainly did the reading and the praying, that was their calling, and so on, those people were not literate. They could not read or write. In fact, if you could read or write, you were not allowed to come. They were what we call lay brothers. Now, we have that term in the Church of England now. I don't know if you use it in America.
We do.
The laity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the laity, they were the lay brothers, but they were monks because you can see the way they dress. They've got the bald heads that you would associate with monks, just like these people. But they did all the manual work, and there was a heck of a lot to do. So we're going to go round and just talk about that as we go round, the sort of things that they did. So as long as you've got those two groups of people clear in your mind, that's quite helpful. But they were Cistercians. Do anybody know what a Cistercian was? Well, we also call them white monks because they wore these light-coloured habits. And they followed the rulers of Benedict. Have you heard of St. Benedict? Have you heard of the Benedictines? They followed the same rules as the Benedictines. But the Benedictines are mainly in the cities, and the Cistercians are out in the countryside. And therefore, Cistercians were white monks, and the Benedictines were black monks. They wore black habits. So there are various sorts of monks, but they all follow the same rule. Poverty, chastity, obedience. Okay? When the little children come, I always say, if you want to be a monk, they come and dress up. If you want to be a monk, the first thing you've got to do is to think about all you've got in your bedroom, and you've got to leave all that behind. All your clothes, everything you possess, you're not allowed to have anything of your own when you come here. Poverty. The monastery was rich, but the monks were poor. Chastity, no sex, basically, no marriage, and no ladies allowed in the monastery. And obedience, do what the abbot says, because he is God's representative on earth. So those are the three things they have. And the other thing you need to remember, poverty, chastity, obedience, they were also a silent order. They were not allowed to speak, except in certain places and at certain times. So that would be a real challenge to 21st century people, to be silent all day. But it's really, it's something I get the children when they come to practice, don't talk, and they find it really hard to do that. So let's go down to the end. Can I come first?
You don't mind that video, do you? Do you mind that video?
Not at all.
That's pretty cool. Now we're moving on. Ready?
Thank you.
Good. This video will be out on my YouTube, so I'll link it to you guys so you can take a look at it.
That'd be great.
So that was the barn, the Father's Abbey, and now we're gonna take a walk down. You can see the herds of children. Get it? Barn, herd. It's a gorgeous day out here. It's probably about 15 Celsius maybe.